So I've learned a ton of things in my 20s, mainly by doing things wrong the first time and then learning the correct way to do it after. But the number one thing I learned that saved me the most money in my 20s was to buy a new car. Now, I know Dave Ramsey is directly against that and actually advises the exact opposite, but I wanted to justify to you guys and let you know why this was such a great decision for me, and I'm sure a lot of you guys will also share this experience. So before we get into the backstory, just go ahead and like the video and hit subscribe. It's very meaningful to me, but without further ado, let's talk about it here. So I started driving when I was 15 years old. I lived a little bit outside of city limits in small town Nebraska, so you were allowed to drive at 15 rather than 16. And I'm 25 now, which means I've been driving for 10 years. So over the last 10 years, I've actually owned a lot of cars, and you guys will understand this and why in a minute here. But I've owned Toyotas, apparently one of the most reliable cars out there. I've owned Chevys. I even owned a Jeep for about 2 weeks, which was a horrible purchase, but we can talk more on that later. But the main issue here is that used cars are not reliable. So each car I spent, I decided to put more and more money into the purchase price in hopes to get something more reliable. So my first car, I scraped together $10,000 from all my jobs over the years and was able to buy a Toyota 4Runner. My next car was about $15,000 and then $20,000 and then $25,000. And these are all used in supposedly very reliable cars. I'm a big car guy, and so I knew to do all of my research before buying, and I made sure to get stuff that was the most reliable as acclaimed by the internet. So I bought these cars, and each car ended up costing more and more in maintenance prices. And I didn't realize this until about last year when I saved all of my maintenance bills, dug them all out of the closet, and added them together. And so what I learned is on average, over the last 10 years, I ended up spending $675 per month on average on car repairs. Holy shit. So the reason why this is important is because it would have been much better for me to have just bought a brand new car on a finance deal and paid that money over the last few years. The payment would have been done by now, and I would have been stuck with a car that was reliable, that did get me from point A to point B. You know, it may have had some minor maintenance things with it, you know, new tires, oil changes, but the car theoretically should not have broken down on me as much as my used cars did. Now, the second reason why this is important is because a broken down car ends up costing you a ton of money. So again, for example, when I was in my teens and 20s, early 20s, I was still in school and worked minimum wage jobs. When my car broke down, apparently on average it was every 2 to 3 months, when my car broke down, I didn't have means of transportation to get to my job. I was a delivery driver and needed my car at the time, and so even if I could get into my job, I wouldn't be able to do the work. And so my car being down for 2 to 3 days ends up costing me more than just the maintenance costs. This also costs me the opportunity costs of not being able to go into work. So if we factor that into the equation, in my minimum wage at the time, I was really losing, on average, about $850 every single month by owning a used car. And again, guys, this was on average. This doesn't mean every single month my car broke down, but every 2 to 3 months when it did break down, it was a very expensive fix. Misfire in the cylinder, things rusting and falling out of the bottom, transmission failure. There were tons and tons of things that my cars broke down for, and the cost of just driving a used car ended up just being way too substantial. And so when I was about 24, I went in and I bought a base model Chevy Silverado Trail Boss, and that car has gotten me reliably around for about a year and a half now, which has been an absolutely fantastic feeling, not having to go into the shop for repairs or anything else like that. So again, another point I wanted to touch on used cars was that I wasn't just buying sports cars. I wasn't buying cool cars like Jaguars, things that broke down. Again, I was buying cars that the internet deemed were reliable. So even if these reliable cars broke down, I could only imagine what other cars would be like. A Ford Escape, right? A Ford Expedition, a Jeep Wrangler, right? I don't know how much these cars really cost to own and maintain, but I'm guessing it's more than what I was paying for my cheap, reliable cars. And again, this brings me to another point, that the internet is lying to you. Those websites that tell you reliable cars, they are all different, which means people are paying these websites to advertise to you certain car brands and certain car types. So again, really understand the car you're buying and do the research on what makes it reliable or what doesn't make it reliable. So if you're in this position as well, I highly urge you to go look at the price of a used car and what it would cost to finance. Put your current car as a down payment and then end up paying a small amount per month to finance this car outright. So for example, there's a lot of Toyota Corollas for sale in my area. I just did some research and they cost about $20,000 on average. This is a new 2026 base model Corolla. Let's say your car is worth $5,000. You use your car as a down payment and now you finance $15,000. And that puts you at a payment of around $300-ish per month. And you'll pay this over 5 years, and after 5 years, you'll fully own the car. Now, again, in my scenario where I was driving an old car and paying $675 per month to own it, $300 per month is not that bad. And especially with a brand new car, you're going to get cheaper insurance, better gas mileage, and that car will still be worth a lot of money if you want to trade it in. So I've been yapping for about 7 minutes now, so I just wanted to leave you guys on that, and I wanted to hear your comments down below. Go ahead and leave one, and we can talk about it down there. Without further ado, appreciate y'all for watching the video, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.